Hey guys, don't worry, we haven't started yet. The countdown is still on, but I see you in the chat sharing where you are from, and hopefully everyone is having a beautiful last few days of the year. And then it's going to go confetti, and when it goes confetti, it makes me so happy. Anna Maria, I didn't think you were going to be able to join us live today. Good to see you, sweetheart. Hello, Claire, watching in from Ireland. Jana from North Hollywood. Fabulous. Okay, let's enjoy the confetti and then come to me and let me make sure that I can do that. I believe this should have us all in good shape. You should be sleeping because you have a flight soon, but you couldn't miss it. Jay is watching from LA. Quentin is here. Oh, it's going so fast. It's your first time watching from France. Well, good evening, Quentin. I'm so glad you could join us. Kel, watching from New York. Good to see you, sweetheart. Oh, we got New York is in the house. Laura, Melinda, hello, all the New York. Beautiful people. Welcome to the webinar on how to eliminate actor busy work from your life, how to know that you are enough. And of course, for those of you who just finished our epic 5-day free training, Getting Gear for the New Year, congratulations, more confetti, more celebration for all of you, because holy crap, you did it. And what a phenomenal run. Oh my God. Like, totally restructured. Those of you who've done Getting Gear for the New Year with me since 2014 know that this year was completely different. And wow, at the epic strides that were made in 5 short days. I love when we raise the bar and y'all meet it. And certainly there were some people who were like, nope, couldn't keep up with it. That was a lot. I'm going to need more time with this. Good news, those emails stay in your inbox. Hopefully you didn't toss them, because the program does not exist except for this time of the year. And we would love for you to make sure that you can go back in and get that training. Joseph is saying I don't have audio, which means he can't hear me tell him that he should probably leave Zoom and come back in. But oftentimes that is the fix. And sometimes it is that your Zoom needs updating. But if somebody could type that in the chat for Joseph to see, that would be fabulous to hear. I have a dedicated inbox folder in Pam's world. Pam, I love that. Sonia's saying hello from LA, first time. Well, welcome, first timers. Julia from Connecticut, Lisa from London. Oh my goodness, this week has been life-changing, says Jana. Good, Carly and NoHo. I'm so appreciative of y'all digging in on the work. Catherine from LA, Latrice from Houston. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is fabulous, fabulous. Because something about this time of year. Okay, here's what I remember, because for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Bonnie Gillespie. I'm the author of Self-Management for Actors, and this book exists as a series of answers to the questions that actors asked me when I was writing as a journalist, a former actor who had a survival job at Backstage interviewing casting directors in 1999. So that's how way back this goes. That here I was 20 years ago, an actor struggling, working 10 different survival jobs, hoping to figure out how to make this thing work. And I got the job of a lifetime interviewing casting directors who would not see me if I showed up with a headshot and resume. But if I showed up to interview them, they're like, come on in, sit down, let's talk. Do you want to watch sessions? Would you like to hear us talk with producers after the actors have left and find out what we liked and what we didn't like? And I was like, this is the best actor job ever. Within 6 months of interviewing casting directors, which I ended up interviewing hundreds of casting directors over the years that I had that job, I was very well aware that acting was the bait to get me to LA twice so that I could do the thing that I was actually meant to do in life, which was demystify the casting process and share secrets that were never told. Because again, 20 years ago, we didn't have social media. We didn't have people live tweeting their auditions. There was no behind the scenes extras in DVDs. It wasn't a thing. There was no YouTube channel dedicated to how casting worked. Casting directors weren't writing expert articles out there or books. I mean, you could not figure out what was going on in those casting offices until you got in there. And nobody would tell you how to get in there other than you got to get an agent. But nobody would tell you how to get the right agent. If you were in a program for theater, for drama, for acting, for even film and television programs throughout the world, all they were ever teaching was craft, 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 craft. And maybe a day of here's how to format your resume, and maybe here's something to say in a meeting, maybe. And still to this day, a lot of the training programs are like that, which is why self-management for actors exists, because every day while I was writing this column, people would write in and say, I have questions. Look, you said this casting director says demo reels have to be 2 minutes long, but this casting director that you interviewed the week before said no longer than a minute. Bonnie, what's the rule? And I went, you know how you figure out rules in an industry where there are no effing rules? Go to the data. Go to the data. And that's what self-management for actors is. It is an answer to every question that actors asked me, starting with my weekly columns in 1999. I went through and went back to the casting directors and their assistants and their associates and asked them, okay, hang on, what is the rule? Why do you say this? Why do you tell someone, that was great, thanks, when what you really mean is, you stunk up the room, get out of here. Like, you confuse people when you say, oh, we're not going to be able to cast you because you don't have enough footage, when the truth of it is you were never going to cast that person anyway. So why do you then send them off on this wild goose chase to go get more footage to please you when that wouldn't have made a difference anyway? Why don't you just actually say, you're not the one we're looking for, and stop getting in actors' heads with all these rules and ideas and things that they think they have to do, like, oh, if only you were in the union, which you give them as a stopper because you know it stops the conversation. But the truth of it is, them joining the union is not what would get them that job or get them signed by you as an agent. Oh my God, would you please stop the lies? So I got all geeked out about the data and became really hungry for it. And that became self-management for actors, because every time I answered a question that an actor wrote into the column about, I would save the best version of my answer, because I realized I was getting asked the same questions over and over again, and I didn't want to have to reinvent the wheel every time someone emailed with a question. So I would dump that answer into a notebook, and over time, this 3-ring binder was sitting at the foot of my bed, and it was segregated into different sections. So this one was about headshots and resumes. This one was about agents and managers. This was about when to join the union or move to LA, or do you even have to? This one's about pilot season. This one's about all the different people in the casting office. This one's about testing at network. This one's about junkets and red carpets and things that nobody ever trains actors for until it's crucially important and could be done way earlier so that the confidence level is way higher. And I looked at this binder, and my husband said, you know, I think you've got a book here. He wasn't my husband at the time. He is now, of course, Keith Johnson. Y'all have seen him around, possibly heard him in our various trainings around here and there. He does tend to play back in the behind the scenes part of the job here, but he is responsible for self-management for actors, because I kept thinking, I think these are helpful pieces of information. He said, I think it's a book. I think this is a book. You need to actually put this out. And so we published the first edition of Self-Management for Actors in 2003. And this, of course, is the 4th edition, 5th printing. Oh, my goodness gracious. So there are also free worksheets that go with this at smfa4.com. smfa4.com or selfmanagementforactors.com will get you there. That's not the point. It was making sure that you know who I am and where I come from as we are having this conversation, because there are a lot of folks that are new to the world. I know, so good that he thought of that. Like, he was brilliant, because I was kind of discounting it, which honestly, y'all, we often discount what might be our greatest gifts. We often say things like, well, nobody would actually value that. I couldn't actually make money off that. That's everybody knows. That was the thing I was saying. Everybody knows this. And this is just common sense. And then Keith would say, it's common sense to you, because you went in and talked with hundreds of casting directors one at a time, which means you got the information slowly and gradually, and it became a part of how your brain works. For someone who is at that starting point of never having been in a casting office, or never having been to network for a test, or never having had a high tier studio experience, you actually have information that is gold to them, and you need to share that. And so, yes, thank you to Keith for being the first test case of self-management for actors, because when he had moved in with me in 2001, I said, if you want to be an actor, I think I know how this thing works. I couldn't make it work, but I think I can help you make it work. Just do everything I say. Let's see what happens. And he was willing to try everything that I thought we could test out and make happen. And sure enough, within weeks, he was on his first professional set. Within months, he was union eligible. He was top of the call sheet on a reenactment show within 6 months, 3 months, something like it was insane how fast things happen. He had an agent like that. And I went, how is this happening so fast? Here's the key. Keith came at this with no preconceived notions. He had no actor mind taffy. He had no junk in his head about how it should be. He didn't have the noise that I'm going to bet quite a few of you get frustrated from hearing every damn day. How many of you are like, yes, noise too much. I could do without some of the noise. It's overwhelming. Everybody's got an opinion about how it's got to be. You have to do this, you have to do that, whether it's I got to have a social media following, or I've got to move to LA, or I've got to join the union, or I have to broadcast on YouTube and have a channel. Like, I mean, it's a lot of noise, right, Melinda? It's nuts. So because he didn't have that, there was nothing to stop him from just using the self-management for actors principles. And so back to why I did the sidebar of introducing myself was this time of year in particular can be incredibly challenging because we spend time with family, relatives, people that we have known for an awful long time, and they may not know what success looks like and feels like in our business. We may not know what success looks like and feels like in our business because it's sometimes so few and far between those things that give us that boost. That's one of the reasons that the work we do here with self-management for actors and getting gear is all about enoughness. Because if you've got a high resting state of enoughness, it doesn't matter what happens during an audition. It doesn't matter what happens out in the world. It doesn't matter if you shoot a project and then it gets shelved and never actually makes it out into the world and you thought it was going to be your big break. It doesn't matter because your resting state of enoughness says, I'm all right. I'm all right. These little things don't define me. They're nice when they happen, but it doesn't crush me when the momentum goes away. It just means I need to focus my attention in a different area for a little bit, that I need to maybe go into the creative cave, that I maybe need to spend more time nurturing my mailing list. Maybe I need to spend more time in a class. Maybe I need to do some writing for a change, but I can shift my focus and it doesn't change my love for my true north or my mission as a storyteller. And so that's really what this all comes down to. And the reason we do the free training this time of the year is specifically because I find this is when it can be the most challenging for folks to keep that state of enoughness high. Because even if during the rest of the year it feels great and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I'm confident, I know I've got this, it may not be right this second, but it's coming. There's something about going back, even for me at this point in my life and in my career, going back and being around those people who created you and who were around from the very beginning. They have some very strong opinions about how your life needs to look. And what I like to remind everyone, very important, beautiful people, very important, write this down. If you're not here with a pen and a journal, you've never been to a Bonnie Gillespie event because you are going to take notes if you haven't already started. So here's what I want you to make sure that you note. If your family uses words that hurt you when it comes to your creative career, it is almost always because you equipped them with those words. Stop giving them the words to use about you and your creative career. Here's what I mean by that. If you are regularly complaining about how hard it is, if you are regularly bitching about how your agent never gets you out. If you are regularly complaining, carping, grousing, anything, kvetching, if you're doing anything other than talking about how great it feels to be an actor, how spectacularly lucky you are to get to be a creative storyteller on this journey, and that you know that it is a journey for the long haul and you're invested, you believe in yourself. If you cannot say those types of things in front of them, you are handing them the words to use to make you feel low enoughness about your choices. So do nothing but talk to them about how great it is and how awesome it is. And I'm not saying ignore that it's hard, because that's not healthy either, but make sure that you are giving them a proportional amount of information about how great it is, about how blissed out you are, about the collaborations that you get to participate in, the people that you get to work with, the experience that you get to share with other creatives living your dream, their dreams, everybody on path for what will be completely different destinations. Your true north is different no matter what than somebody else's. You cannot have identical true norths, because you were brought here with a mission for the kinds of stories that you were born to tell. So of course it's going to look different for everyone. But if only complaints come out of your mouth, you are equipping people who want to be helpful with the words to use to help you not feel supported. I realized when I had family members that were saying, when are you going to stop this foolishness and come home? It's because I was too often saying how hard it is doing this business, how much I struggle, how scary it is to not know where the next money is going to come from. If instead I focus my energy and attention on talking about how cool it is that every day is different, and how awesome it is that I get to work with people who are creating worlds that didn't exist a minute ago. And now not only do those words exist, but they have become a part of other people's lives. They become realities for viewers and a fan base. If I'm not having that kind of conversation, I am making sure that I get handed words that are hard to hear. Jana says, I have learned to do that with my family and close friends over time, and it's exciting to see how their attitudes and enthusiastic support of me is changing. Jay says, yeah, family, gold and glittering thing is not holiday tinsel. Yazine says, I tell them how amazing the process is and the people who I meet. It has made me a better person. That is so awesome. Oh my God, I love all of that. Yes. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Wonderful. Y'all, good. Okay, great. So that's why the timing of all of this and what we're specifically going to be talking about today is how to identify actor busy work, and make sure that you know when you're choosing it so that you don't have to have it in your life. But what I would love to do first is get an idea of what types of things do you spend energy and attention on that you wonder, do I really need to be doing this? I would love to know in the chat, and hopefully if it goes by too fast, I'll catch some here and there, but I would love to know what types of things do you do because you think you have to? Jeff hit the first one, like right out the gate, social media, with lots of question marks. Jeff, yes, social media is a big one that everybody says you have to do. And here's what I'm going to tell you. The data will show you there is somebody out there getting cast today with no social media profile. So, true story, you do not have to, because the data will show you there is someone out there getting cast right now without a social media following. Website, says William. Amber says, sometimes networking feels futile. Yeah, there's that whole getting out there around the buyers and what does that feel like to be in their midst. I would love, oh, sorry, Amara, I saw the B from your last name and decided that it was Amber. Caroline, spend lots of time self-submitting, going over scripts for coaching and social media. Social media is a biggie. Jana, sending thank you notes to casting directors after auditions. Jana, here's an interesting thing on that, because I'm from Atlanta, so I'm a big thank you note girl. It's just a part of how you're raised, is that you don't have anything happen in life without writing a thank you note about it. So that was a big part of my arsenal as an actor back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And when I started interviewing casting directors and asking about that in particular, one of the things that stuck out for me was the majority of them said things like, if you have time to write a thank you note after every audition you have, it makes me think you don't have a lot of auditions. And I'm like, oh, sweet Lord, I'm doing it because I think it's the good girl thing to do. And I am like busting my ass to make sure I get all these thank you notes written. And I would love to rebudget that time for anything else. And oh my God, it actually is eroding how you think of me because I've made time to do a thank you note. Amazing. That was like a big breakthrough moment for me. Melinda says types of things: social media, mailings, CD workshops, new headshots every year. Melinda, you do not need new headshots every year. Like every 3 years would be the most frequent that I would imagine, unless your look has just drastically changed. And honestly, once you're an adult and looking the way you're going to look for a good long while, you can go 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I've seen people still using headshots when they submit to me on projects that they've been using since I first started working as a casting director, which was in 2003. That's too long. That's 16 years on the same headshot at least. And I'm telling you, it just makes me think that I have no idea, like it's Russian roulette. I have no idea what you're going to look like when you walk in the room. Anna says doing casting director workshops. Definitely optional. There are people getting cast every day who have never done a workshop. I mean, because here's one thing. I've never seen anybody hold up something gold and shiny, say, I'd like to thank the workshop facility. Like, I have never seen that happen. I honestly, something to think about. Okay, being hard on myself for not writing sitcom fast enough. Oh gosh, honey, people spend decades writing the stuff that they want to write. Lisa says, seeing friends with social media following and stressing that it'll be hard to get started when I don't want to do social media. Here's what I know, Lisa, if you don't want to do it, here's how it's going to feel to a buyer who shows up to your social media that you begrudgingly make yourself do. We're going to put our eyes on it and go, nobody wants to be here. You don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I am not enjoying being here. If you thought I were doing this webinar right now, this free training, if you thought I were doing this because I think I have to, what would the energy feel like to you? It would feel like she's not having fun in life. She's just showing up here because she has to do this wrap up to the free training because she's going to be selling us something. I am going to tell you about our free, after our free training, I'm going to tell you about our not free 100-day challenge, getting gear for the next year, because there are quite a few people who are on this training I'm seeing here who have written in asking questions about how it works. And we only open registration for a brief period of time. So absolutely, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to answer your questions about getting gear for the next tier and how it works. That is absolutely going to happen. But I'm not slogging through like, oh, I hate going on camera. I hate talking to people on a live training. I hate setting up my stuff. This thing is set up all the time. I show up and do a little makeup and hopefully don't mess with my hair too much. And I love sharing this time with y'all because I get to have conversations with you that enrich my life and hopefully yours as well, because otherwise, why would you come spend this time with me? But if I hated it, you would hate being here. You would be like, this stinks. I don't enjoy this at all. So if you do anything that you're not lit up to do, the buyers feel that. We feel on the receiving end that you're not aligned with what you're doing. You're just doing it because you think you have to, and that's not attractive. And I mean that in the law of attraction sense. It's not attractive. Anna Maria says workshops with casting directors. April says getting footage. Carly says CD workshops. Okay, Claire says Spotlight membership. Only had 3 auditions in 5 years. Woo! Is it worth it if you're not with one of the top agencies? Spotlight, for those who don't know, is the European version of our breakdown services, Actors Access, casting networks. There are different ones for different markets. And so to only have 3 auditions in 5 years off something that you're spending money to keep yourself up on, that's really interesting. Sonia is saying, do I need to create YouTube videos? Kelly, CD workshops, how many? And should you always repeat if you've met people a couple of times? Oh my gosh, you guys, there are so many. So many. I'm not going to get to everybody. Wow, wow, wow. This is so fantastic. Not sure how to navigate the social media. Submitting without an agent. Is it worth it? Cameron says your headshots. Amara, also any thoughts about Black women frequently changing hair? Do I need multiple headshots? Okay, Amara, I'm going to tell you this one right now. This is one of my favorites from the very early days of my interviewing casting directors. And this comes from Michael Donovan. He's an LA-based casting director who does a lot of theater, but also commercials. And he is one of the dearest, sweetest people on the planet. Absolutely adore him. He was on a panel that I was moderating at a college years ago. And I had him and a few other people on the panel because I collected these casting directors that I had been interviewing and said, can y'all get together and be panelists for this talk that I'm going to do? And he had the best line about it. First of all, because he said, if you are a woman of color, you know how to do all of this. And we trust that you know how to do all of this. And for most Caucasian women, you just look like a white woman in a wig. So don't do it because it's just a mess. It's just a mess. If you know what you are doing, which everybody of color I've ever seen do it knows exactly what they're doing. We trust you, and we trust that you're going to have pictures that represent how you most often look or how you want to look when you are shooting the project that we're bringing you in for. And if you show up on that day to that audition not looking exactly like that, we understand the technology of it all, because we work in casting and we work with enough people of enough types that we understand that it is not the same predicament for you that it might be for everybody else. And because of that, we totally understand that your pictures are not going to match you to a T every single time you walk in the room. That said, and this is what I love, if you have looks that you know you book all the time, it behooves you to have headshots that match each of those looks. So then you can submit yourself using the look that aligns with what they need, but you got to be able to get yourself there for the audition. So if you've put yourself in some protective style that you're not able to get out of to get to the natural look for the headshot you submitted in time for the audition, that could be an issue. But that's part of your own ability to manage what it is that is in your headshot arsenal, what you submit when, what you allow your agent and manager to submit on your behalf, and also how you communicate with casting if you're having a different look at this time. Same goes for guys and facial hair. Same goes for anybody with glasses and no glasses, okay? Jeff wants to know, does this apply to voiceover actors and hosts, or is it mostly for on-camera actors? Jeff, everything that I teach works actually for people totally outside of show business too. Shh. Big secret, not a big secret. I get letters, I get emails, I get DMs all the time from people who have left the industry but keep following the self-management for actors principles because they work. I follow the self-management for actors principle, and I am not an actor. I used to be. I guess you could say I have a showbiz career because, I mean, I do work in the business and have those experiences, yes, but my work would be considered online education at this point, as well as touring the world, speaking, signing books. I love getting to do those types of things as an author, of course, and I follow the self-management for actors principles. We have some very, very high level voiceover actors in our 100-day program who have in fact helped us dial in what are some of the type categories that we're used to using for on camera or for on stage? How do they align for voiceover? What is that same tier level for voiceover? So yes, absolutely, is the short answer, absolutely. Always thinking I need a better agent. When do you know it's time to change? Oh my goodness gracious, yeah. Okay, headshots, hair has been growing from a pixie, changing colors. Yeah, so you would change up a little more often. Fabulous. Oh my goodness, y'all, there's so many great questions here. Judy, I'm so glad you were able to join live. Judy is part of the reason that this book exists and is so successful, because without Judy Kerr, I don't know. I don't want to think about if not for Judy Kerr, because Judy entered our lives so early on. I had been writing the column for a very short period of time, and she wrote in, and we got together for breakfast, and she hooked us up with an international distributor for our books. And boy, has that made all the difference. So Judy, of course, is the author of Acting is Everything. And I consider her to be a dear friend and client, but also my mentor. You want to talk about inclusive casting, how prevalent now. Pam, what a great time to be alive. What a great time to be alive and a storyteller. Y'all, oh my gosh, there is so much more inclusive storytelling happening right now. And there is so much more room for voices to step up and say, I am not being represented enough, so I am going to create what needs to exist, because it's not going to exist without me creating it. So here I go. And this is what it needs to look like. What a fucking fantastic time to be alive. Oh my gosh. Do people even look at websites? Carly wants to know. Carly, some do, some don't. So let's talk about this, because there are so freaking many questions in this chat. You guys are amazing. I love all of this. I'm not going to be able, it just showed me that I have 56 new questions or new chat comments. So I'm just going to scroll to the bottom and say, everybody, thank you so much for what you put in there. I'm going to do my best to cover as much as possible during this free training. And also, of course, to answer your questions about getting gear for the next tier, because we are only open for registration until Monday, the 30th of December. So I'm actually going to have my team put the link in the chat right now, because I know some of you are on a really limited time window, and I don't want you to want the link and not be able to find it later. So I believe my team has the ability to give you the link to register in the chat, but I'll say it here for those watching the replay. You're going to go to bonniegillespie.com/now. And as long as you're registered by Monday, the 30th of December, 2019, you are in for our 2020 kickoff with a live round, with the dedicated tracks. We have lifetime of the program as an option for enrollment, and so much more. I'm super excited to talk about all of that, but I wanted to make sure that that link gets mentioned and put out there. So it's in the chat, but it's also bonniegillespie.com/now. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to stay for this whole thing, don't worry, there will be a replay and we will send it to you. But as you can see, I really like participating with the comments and the questions that you're putting there. So please continue to do that. And for those of you who are here live, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so Jay says, do it, I get no kickback. Fabulous. Oh, and thank you, Kelly, for answering that question about Judy's book, and Cameron as well. Judy, you have so many fans here. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. All right, so here's the quick and dirty answer to every single question that has been asked. And yes, I mean that, to every single question that has been asked about, do I have to do this? Do I need to spend time doing this? Is this worth it? Cameron goes, it depends. That sort of is, because if I say it depends, of course, that is the answer that covers everything. But the answer that is from the self-management for actors world is, what does the data show you? So here's my walkthrough on that. As you know from the 5-day training, we set a true north. If you're watching this and go, Bonnie, I didn't do the free training, I don't know true north, I want you to Google the words Bonnie Gillespie True North. Watch whatever video you land on, because I think I have 3 different ones out there now that walk you through a true north visualization exercise, so that you yourself can determine what your true north is as a storyteller. And from that trajectory of where you currently sit, heading to your true north, you are able to know where there are things that fall on that path, or on any combination of paths that could get to your true north, and which ones fall way off the path of your true north and don't help you get any closer to the goal of your storytelling dreams, okay? So that's for starters. What I want you to consider when I say it really is all about the data, because the data never lies, excuse me, is I want you to consider that for every question you're asking, if you take a look at stops along your true north journey, you can see whether or not these activities are helpful in moving you to that next tier and to that true north. If you are watching people who are all about, let's say, postcards, gotta mail out postcards, gotta mail out postcards, gotta mail out postcards, gotta mail out postcards, and you take a moment and don't just look at the thing they're doing, but look at how they're doing it. How often are they doing it, and to whom? And if you're like, they're sending postcards to everybody in the business, please don't do that. Y'all get mail, right? You get the Bed Bath & Beyond postcard in the mail that's like a coupon for 20% off of Bed Bath & Beyond. Always, like that postcard never stops coming. And you could literally build a stack of all the Bed Bath & Beyond 20% off coupons that come as postcards. Do you feel special when you receive those in the mail? Do you feel like, oh, Bed Bath & Beyond, I feel seen, you get me, you understand my pillow and tongs need that I'm having simultaneously. Thank you so much, Bed Bath & Beyond, for knowing me so well. No, you're like, okay, you mailed this to everybody. I don't feel special. I feel marketed to. So when you spam the industry and your buyers with postcards, hoping that someone is going to feel special because you sent that to them, it is impossible because of the how. It's not the what, it's the how. If instead you do a targeted marketing, you specifically look at the buyers that are along this next tier path to your true north, and you specifically take the time to reach out to them in a way that does help them feel seen, that does make them see that you get that they have a problem, and that problem is a list of roles that they need to fill, and you are a solution to that problem. You actually are helping them move something forward that also helps move you forward on the path to your true north. Got that? It's not the what, it's the how. So let's talk about the why behind the what, because that really helps inform the how. And I'm going to replace my feet under my booty so that I'm sitting up a little higher here, because I have very interesting ways that anyway, it doesn't matter. You can't see what's going on here. I'm sitting on my feet, like up on my knees. All right. Yes. You want to make sure that your buyers are helping you go up your path to your true north. But that happens when you let us know that you're helping us up the path to our true north. It's a collaboration. And you may not get to drive with all the same casting directors all along the path to your true north. You may only ride with a few for a stop or two, and then they're heading in a different direction because their true north doesn't look like yours. But for a certain tier, their true north and your true north intersect enough that y'all can work together and solve problems together, which is why you have to remember this is a relationship business. And in a relationship business, you don't treat people like objects. You don't treat people like eyeballs that you have to market to. Perfect example. I am certainly hoping that y'all look at getting gear for the next tier and decide that it is a worthwhile investment in yourself and your career, and that you want the Self-Management for Actors structure and my support during the next 100 days of your life. Absolutely. I hope that for all of you. I also know it's not realistic to believe that all of you are going to do that, nor am I treating anybody here any differently because I've decided you are or aren't probably going to do it. Everybody here feels seen because we're here together for this free training during which some of you may decide, oh my God, if this much value from free stuff, please let me inside where we can do things that are only going to take this to a higher level faster. I need that support. I need that accountability. I need to be able to ask my burning questions and have someone who knows tell me, yes, you're getting it right. More like this, less like this. Refine. I like to see myself as a personal trainer. You know how to work out. You can Google every workout that you possibly need. Everything in self-management for actors is out there free on the internet. Yes, you might want to have a book, buy the book. You may want to have a personal trainer for the workouts that are described in that book. If you're the type who's like, no, I can do it with the free training. I'm good. My accountability with myself is A-okay. I do not need that structure. Awesome. You can create it for yourself. Fabulous. If the answer is, I need to have the structure of someone saying, today we're not going to talk about craft. We're going to do money mindset. If today we're not going to talk about money mindset and contracts because that's too confronting, we're going to actually talk about self-care. And if nope, today we're always going to talk about self-care. But if instead of self-care, today is going to be about your self-tape setup, having that structure, if that feels like the kind of support you need, then great, you're going to be here. We have the opportunity for you to say yes to that and be completely supported throughout your creative career, especially if you choose lifetime membership. Oh my God, what a deal, because then this is the gym that you get to work out in at every tier. As you continue to grow, you come back and revisit the materials that before you're like, I don't need that yet. And now you're like, oh my God, I need that because things are moving fast. And now I know what questions I need to ask here. And I have this gym to work out in. But I don't sling spaghetti at the wall and go, oh, I hope everybody buys. I know it's not for everybody. That's okay. So I am very specific and strategic in my ways of marketing because I know that it's about relationship building. And the average person who buys something from me has been on the Bond Blast mailing list for 5 years. That is a horrible piece of data, by the way, because the goal is to have somebody who goes, I see you, I'm new to you, here's my money. But my issue is I have never learned how to market and ask for the sale. I just keep giving more free things, more free things, more free things, and figuring, well, you'll know if you want to spend money, you'll know that you can. So finally this year, I have learned how to say, we actually have something for sale. And please join me. It is worth it. And I don't know about my own enoughness level with that. I've been doing my own money mindset work as an artist, but I think it comes from being a struggling artist and believing that if you love what you do, it's unfair to get paid for it. Y'all, if you got that money mindset, we're going to help clean that up, because if you have any issue getting paid for what it is that you love doing, that is a block that goes at cross purposes every time you show up to audition. Every time that you go out there and get in front of the buyers, you've got one part of your brain going, please cast me. Please see me as someone who is right for this, because I really, really, really want this next level of success and this job will help me get there. But you have this other far more practiced voice that is saying, but don't give me money for this because it's too much fun. And I'm a struggling artist. And there's a story in my family that I have to be the basket case. And if suddenly I'm successful, it rewrites the truths for everyone I'm related to. And I'm not ready for that because that's really confronting. If any of that sounds familiar, share with me in the chat. Yeah, not getting paid is volunteering. Oh, it's crushing you. It's so true. Oh, Kelly, baby, Kelly, I feel you. I feel you. Mm-hmm. And Anna, if you've got that running around in your head and saying it's not right to get paid for loving what you do, got to clean that up, because there will always be someone asking you to work for free. One thing that is true of this business is there will never, 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 never run out of people who will ask you to work for free. I get asked to work for free every day. In my emails, in my DMs, every single day, someone says, hi, I bought your book. I have 10 questions about my specific situation. Help me. And when I suggest that they show up to a free training like this, where I can work with a group, they tell me I'm an asshole because I'm not helping them with some inbox coaching. And I don't know, how much did you pay for your book? Like, if you bought it from us, it's $30, but you probably bought it from Amazon, so it's like $15. That does not include the price of private coaching via DM at Instagram. But there was a time where I thought it did. There was a time that I would answer every question because I thought I had to, because I have the answer and I can help you. Therefore, I have to keep giving. And then just as, oh, who was it that said, that's volunteering? Yes, Linda. That's called volunteering. As soon as it clicked for me that if I wanted to do good works like that from a volunteering perspective, there are much healthier ways to do that. But when it comes to my intellectual property and a system that I created and you want customized advice about it, we have a way you can do that. It's called membership and getting gear for the next year. Ta-da! How about that? Oh my God, so crazy. Like as soon as that got clear for me, it changed everything. So a big part of the work we do in getting gear for the next year and all self-management for actors work is about mindset, because you can have all your tools in perfect order. And if your head is not in the right place, you will get eaten alive. If your head's not in the right place, you'll have a taste of success and then plummet right back down to the level you were before you had that success, because you haven't done the conditioning work to sustain that success. Because if success doesn't feel at home in you, it can't stay. So a lot of the work that we do in getting gear for the next year is training your brain to make success feel at home so that you are ready to be at the next tier as soon as the opportunity comes. So we get everything in order so that you don't even have to second guess. Do I have the right number of headshots? And do I have the right looks? Am I explaining who I am visually out there on the internet, whether I have a social media presence or not, or it's my website, or I don't even have a website, but I'm Googleable and it's the pictures that are in the gallery at IMDb, that I know that everything when a buyer comes looking says, green lights, take this person up the road to their true north a little bit farther, a little bit farther, a little bit farther. You know you have all that on lock, and now it's all about the mindset work to get out of your own way when you start to doubt that you have everything set up as it needs to be. So remember when I said that the perfect answer for every one of these questions, do I need this? Should I do that? Should I spend time investing in this or that? The answer is it's in the data. You take a look at your specific buyers for your next tier on your true north. Now, here's a big mistake I see a lot of people make. You set that true north, and again, Google Bonnie Gillespie true north if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you will soon know exactly what I'm talking about. But as you set that true north, and you have a path, and you have several paths. It's like Google Maps. You have several different routes you could take to get there. And none of them is more right than the other. One's more scenic, one's more direct, one's faster, one's slower, but so much more beautiful. Like it doesn't matter. Your job is not to try and race there and figure out how to get there the fastest. It's how do I get there in the way that feels most aligned with the stories I was born to tell, period. As you do this, and for some of you it will be the fast route, and for some of you it'll be like, no, make it take a really long time, but make me enjoy the hell out of everything I do on the way. Whatever, no wrong, no right. We're going, okay? Well, the wrong is to go in that direction when you're trying to go over here. Because if you've got a true north over here and you take a bus in this direction, why would you do that? Why would you do that? So as you've identified some of the targets at the very next tier, because the big mistake I see people making is they set that true north and then they look at the targets up here. So let's say your true north is to do a project with a certain filmmaker. That there's a filmmaker right now who is brilliant and prolific, and you know that when you take a look at her work, it aligns so beautifully with yours and the types of things that you know you were born to do as a storyteller. And if this person could just know you exist, she would be so happy that you solve a problem that she has in her storytelling journey. So gosh, y'all need to get together, right? You start focusing on this as a target without noticing that you've got a lot of road to cover before you get there. Yes, pay attention to what this person needs and always be doing things that get you in that general direction, but your first tier targets are the ones closest to where you're starting out in the tiers. So as you take a look at targets that are closer in, that means if you're doing copy credit meals, if you're doing non-union, if you're doing spec where you're getting paid later, I'm still waiting to get paid for acting work I did in the 90s on spec, deferred pay contracts. Yeah, I'm still waiting. If you're doing that level work, your next tier is to get that first network co-star, to get that union level work where you get paid 4 figures for a single day of a line or two in a scene that's completely easy to cut out of the story if they need to for time. And don't decide if they cut you that it was because you sucked. It was because they weren't on budget for the time of that episode and had to cut it. And it has nothing to do with you 99% of the time. That's part of that enoughness thing. If your scene gets cut and you decide, oh my God, they're out to get me, I'm horrible, I sucked, I'm never going to work again, that's low enoughness. That's all that is. Because high enoughness goes, there are 357 reasons that they could have cut my scene. It has very little probability that it has anything to do with me. High enoughness knows how filmmaking works. It knows what the cutting room floor is about. It knows that it has nothing to do with you almost every time. If you are able to start building those connections at that very next tier and really look at what the data is showing you works with those people, then you know the answer to the question. So, do workshops work with your very next buyer? That person who right now has a problem that you solve. And so let's take this to the voiceover question that we had before. If that means there's a certain product or a brand that your voice is aligned with. For me, when I was doing voiceovers, oh my God, I did a bajillion voiceovers. I was always the blue collar, folksy, trustworthy, no bullshit kind of products. I was never going to be like diamonds are forever or here's your Volvo. Like that just was never going to be my voiceover brand because I am folksy AF all day. And that is always a part of my brand. So whether it's voice, writing, acting on camera, on stage, didn't matter. Always, always folksy, folksy. Okay, so if I know that my very next buyer for something folksy and fun and straightforward and low bullshit is absolutely needing to meet me in a workshop because that is something that person does regularly, then it would benefit me to go get my ass in that workshop in front of that person. But here's the thing. One time. Because if I am mic drop, you get me now, when I go in and do that workshop, that's all she needs. That's all she needs. The buyer does not need multiple exposures to me in order to get to know I am a solution to her problem. So where I see a lot of people get into a workshop rut is they get sold, oh, it's better if you do a 4-week class with this person. I'm like, if you're learning 4 weeks worth of things, maybe, but what actually happens is that turns a buyer into a teacher. And when a buyer is a teacher, the teacher gets to see you struggle. The teacher gets to help you learn and break through blocks. And you just turned a buyer that you need to see you as a solution into someone who helps you through a struggle. And you have now just completely changed that relationship forever. Because a buyer needs to see you as a solution to a problem. And once you've turned that buyer into a coach, it is a precarious position to be in. There are very few performers who can struggle in front of a coach who is also a buyer and have that buyer end up casting them. It means that it has to change the kind of work that you're doing in front of them. And then if that means you don't actually get the benefit of working through a struggle in front of them because you're so worried about them being a buyer, what the fuck are you spending all that money on? Like, what a waste. Because then they didn't see you at your best in any part of the equation. Okay? Okay, I'm going to switch now. Soda time. I don't know why I always feel the need to show y'all the type of soda that I'm having. This is a Soleil Cucumber Melon Essence, but I'm going to give y'all a second to put more things in the chat if you've got specific questions about how this plays out, and then we're going to round this up and then do some more Q&A while I have been there, done that, says Jean. Oh my gosh, yes. Bubbly. Bubbly's too sweet, Pam. I don't know why. Bubbly's too sweet for me. I haven't found a flavor of bubbly that is just a hint of the flavor. So this one being cucumber melon, it's like just a little whisper. I love it. It's a soda water. Mindset problem that I'm always thinking there's more I should be doing. Khalid, yeah, that's low enoughness. If you are always thinking there's more I could be doing, that's a low enoughness setting, because high enoughness says there's more I could be doing if I wanted to wreck my peace. And I would like to sleep. I would like to relax. I would like to have joy along my journey. So it's again, it's not the what, it's the how. If you have anxiety behind the feeling of there's something more I could do, that's low enoughness. But if you have the feeling of there's something more I could do, and you're like, and I'm choosing to sleep right now, then you're actually in a higher level of enoughness, and it's totally fine. Because there's more I could do. I could have decided to sleep less last night to then have slides ready for this, because there's like a rule in webinars that you have to have a slide. Instead of having a slide, I have a printout of the tiers that we work through, or the topics that we work through in getting gear for the next tier. And I have another printout of the bonus that y'all are getting. Amy, can you put a link to this PDF in the chat? I can't believe I forgot to do this at the very beginning. My bad. I could have made sure that this was available on a slideshow, but instead you're getting this as a PDF right there. Your SMFA business plan is a bonus. I'll send it out in the email as well, so you don't stress, but it's in the chat for those of you watching on replay. You got to a replay, you're on a page where there's this video playing in replay. Probably right here under is the link to this PDF. This is your SMFA business plan. This is where you can create structure for yourself for what's busy work, what's not, how much attention and time do I want to spend on things that really make a difference. You're absolutely welcome, Caroline, Pam, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. Of course, Melinda, my pleasure. Y'all, I am all about the value, but I did not sacrifice sleep to create slides, because I said I could do that, but I would rather be fully present and have fun with these people who are showing up for the free training, and those watching on the replay. I want them to know this is fun. This business is supposed to be fun. This career, this life is supposed to be fun. And if we are not having fun, we're doing it wrong. It's fun. Yes, there are going to be stressful moments. Yes, there are going to be moments when we wonder, is it all worth it? Of course, but not every minute of every day. There are so many more moments of every day that are, seriously, rainbow pooping unicorns. That it just feels fantastic to be alive and to be on this storytelling journey. Like, how cool to get to do this for a living. How cool to get to create worlds that didn't exist before and tell stories for people whose voices are otherwise not heard. Jonna, this one, where do I have this? Let me just do a screenshot. Do a screenshot. Can you do that? Take a screenshot. I will see about getting a link to this to put in the replay email. This is, this is where, through getting gear for the next tier, it's distorted. Okay, no worries, Linda. I will make sure that I find a way to have this also linked in the replay email. So even though those of you who are here live, open the replay email, because then I'll make sure that you have a link to this. No problem. It's my pleasure. It exists. So I just have to get the link from out there on the internet and put it into the email. I'm happy to do that. So this is what we work on in getting gear for the next tier. There's mindset. Oh my God, because if your mindset is not in the right place, it doesn't matter what all your tools are doing. It really doesn't. You can have everything else right, but your head trash, no, it just won't let you succeed. The core, this is where we then focus on those tools. We make sure that if you need a social media following, you know how to do it, but you also understand why you need a social media following, but somebody else doesn't. Because different brands have different needs. There are some brands that are actually eroding the buyer's confidence in them by having a social media following. What I mean by that is, if mystique is a part of your brand, if having a secret is a part of your brand, if the types of stories you tell and the way you tell them includes, I don't really know what she's thinking, and then you're taking a picture of every meal that you eat and putting it out on Instagram, you are eroding your brand in the eye of the buyer, because a buyer needs to be like, I can't figure her out. And you are giving them too much information about you when you go on social media, and you are wrecking your business plan. Got that? So we make sure that if you do need to have those things together, they're together. But for some people, you need to never self-tape using your own setup. You need to go into a studio and spend $50 and do it in a professional place, because your brand is so, I have all the money in the world. I can afford $50 for every self-tape. And if you're like, oh, sweet Jesus, who can afford that? Someone who's making 10 grand a day. That's who. It's not a problem. And if it's a part of your brand, you have to have that woven through in everything you do. You need to feel upper class if that is a part of your brand. And that means that you can't have janky ass things going on. Oh my God, y'all. So there's a box that I have over there that holds that door open, because otherwise it swings. So I have just a little box over there. It's nothing, right? So I took out ads for the first time ever. Okay, 20 years of building an empire, have never advertised until this quarter, last month. So we started advertising. In one of the ads where I'm doing a video like this and saying, hey, come join me on the webinar. It's free and I've got great info for you. There was some guy who put, just some rando put in the comments, you can tell you've made it in showbiz because of the rock holding your door open. And I was like, actually that Emmy up there is how you, but not the point. But I'm like, of course I would have something like that because I'm folksy. Like, it's on brand for that to be a part of my world. I am broadcasting to you from my home office with a pole in it, because sometimes you got to bust a move. So what? That's on brand for me. I am not the brand of, I have rented a studio, I am airbrushed AF, I have stylists and a wardrobe that was done by professionals. That would be disingenuous. If I had you come in thinking I'm one kind of way, and then we get into the program and I'm like rolling up my sleeves and sometimes no makeup, and I'm like, okay, look, y'all, I got like no sleep. So here's how we're going to cover today's topics. And then you like hear the bus drive by out in front here, headed over to the beach, and you go, oh, that was so noisy. And you're like, why didn't Bonnie reshoot that? Because it's not on brand for me to reshoot when a bus drives by. It's just not. Lo-fi, baby. That is how this works. And I'm unapologetic about that because it is so aligned with the transparency of my work and my world. I pull back the curtain on this industry and help reveal the secrets. So it would be disingenuous if everything that you saw about me had a secret to it or was produced all to hell. Like that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Practice is another of the elements of the program, because if you're not working out your muscle for your craft and for auditioning and being able to turn around an audition, self-tape, there goes a bus. Almost right on cue. If you're not able to turn around a self-taped audition that looks like absolutely I am meant to be in your world fast, we will help you build up a muscle to do that. Because the time to figure out how to make your self-taped audition look exactly at home in the world of your target buyer is not the day you get the audition. I'm so grateful, Caroline. I'm glad. I'm so glad you're having a blast with this. Because if you are going to have an audition for one of your targets, you want to have learned all the ways to make it rock before they have requested it and you have 3 hours to turn it around. That is not the time to figure out how to get good at it. That's not it. So we do all of that ahead of time. Relationships. We are building relationships every minute of every day. We are building relationships even in our inaction by not going to networking events. We are building relationships in a way that does not get nurtured. So part of the work of building relationships is how you show up in the world. And you may not go to a lot of events, but the ones you go to need to be perfectly aligned with your brand. And that's all part of what we do in the course. Content creation, because if you don't have something on your demo reel right now, and this going back to the voiceover guy, if this is on your audio reel, if you don't have something that is a hell yes for this is exactly how to hire me right now, today, create it. Create it. There's no excuse. Create it. And yes, you replace it with better footage as you get better footage, but you can't even get a running start toward that better footage if you don't have that. And so we teach you all of that as well. Money. I talked about how money mindset is a big part of the course. Money mindset is a bigger part of the course this time out than it has been in the past. We've actually created a dedicated track called Money Honey because there needs to be more conversation with artists about money. Y'all need to know what to look for in a contract. Y'all need to know how to negotiate your own deal. You need to know if your agent is negotiating a proper deal for you, even if you have an agent that you trust. You have got to run your business like a business because there are millions of dollars at stake. And if you're burying your head in the sand and saying, nope, I can't look at money, it's too scary, you are at cross purposes for your goal. You have one part of your brain that's saying, please bring me all the money, and another part of your brain that's saying, I hate money so much I can't even look at it. What do you think the energy is going to be that leads? The one that says, I can't talk about my money. We're gonna get uncomfortable. We're going to get uncomfortable. We're going to talk about our money because better to get this sorted out now than when your business manager has run off with your millions of dollars and you're starting over. Don't be triggered, Kelly. Don't be triggered. That's part of the reason self-care is such a part of this. Self-care, by the way, coming up right here. Oh, I have one more and then self-care. So hold up. I got you. It's why I got you. I got you because I know this work can be confronting. If you've never done it before, it's a lot. It's one of the reasons that we created a lifetime membership, specifically because we realized we had people who joined our 100-day program 3 years ago who never left, still paying $30 a month to stick with the gym membership. And I'm like, at some point, that's a ridiculous amount of money. How do we make it so that there's a way to be in lifetime membership so that you've just decided this is a gym that I want to work out in, and please let me be here as long as this gym exists. And that's why we're now offering lifetime membership, because if you know that this is a program that supports you in the way you want to be supported, and especially if you know, I want in, I'm going to stick a baby toe in, but then I'm going to run away for 6 months because it's too scary, but I want to be able to come back to it. We want you to have that option without having to pay every single month to be able to do so. Okay. So that's why that, by the way, and you're welcome, because a lot of people are very happy about this new business model for this. Woo-woo is the part that's between the money and the self-care. It would not be Bonnie Gillespie without a little bit of woo. I sprinkle woo in everything I do. I grew up the child of a famous astrologer. It is very much a part of my DNA. In fact, my mom would say that I brought that into her life when I was born. I am all about the woo. So one of our tracks is, in fact, Woo Woo Crew. And if you're someone who loves law of attraction, wants to talk astrology, numerology, and all of the universe stuff, you're going to want to be in the Woo Woo Crew, because we are going to make sure that that is all aligned, because no hustle works if you're not aligned for it. So we're gonna get aligned and then hustle, because yes, you hustle, but hustle from an aligned place. Then we have self-care. So Kelly, back to you on that. If you're not investing in yourself, you cannot expect anyone else to invest in you. Self-care does not have to be a bubble bath. It does not have to be a massage. Those are great ones. I love those in particular. But self-care is giving yourself time to feel your feelings. Self-care is honoring when something triggers you and being able to say, I don't feel safe having this conversation right now, but there's a future me who is equipped for this. And the work I need to do to get ready for her to show up is a little journaling, or just taking a walk, or not having this conversation right now because it feels too raw, and really respecting that part of your gut, because that part of your gut is a massive component to your artistry. Part of your work as an actor, as a storyteller, as a voiceover artist, as a composer, as a writer, part of your work is to align with your gut and let it speak through you all the stories that you were born to tell. And if you're not taking care of your instrument, it can't get through. It can't get through. So if you could just tune in to yourself and ask, what do I need to feel safe? You'll find that self-care is always the answer. What I need to feel safe is to not have this conversation with that person who's got a really strong ego attachment to this issue. For me, that's people I'm related to. I'm like, yep, I'm not going to talk to that person. And that, if it makes me feel safe, is the best form of self-care. Then we have the Hife Life. I love the Hife Life because this is for people who do more than just acting. And of course, these days we have so many non-actors who are joining us in the dojo because the program and the self-management for actors works for every kind of creative entrepreneur, that we have really expanded what is available for people who do multiple things. And so this also ties into the Money Honey track, where we do a lot of work on, yes, content creation and building your empire from that area, but also setting up a side business that is built entirely in passive income. Can you talk to Virgos? Because we're good listeners. I love my Virgos. Oh my gosh, I got Virgo in the 12th house. So believe me, I know all about that Virgo energy and how it can wrangle so many things. Did y'all see my Instagram and all the office supplies that my husband bought me yesterday? It's like porn. It's like porn. All right. And then finally, leading the new Hollywood, because face it, we're leaders. All of us. We're leaders. Jeff, yes, we are in the process of doing that right now. Jeff, it's called Getting Gear for the Next Tier. So it's not an actor specific title, but yes, we are in the midst of a brand expansion, and we are entering version 2.0 of Getting Gear for the Next Tier, which we named Getting Gear for the Next Tier a few years back because we had Getting Gear for the New Year. And then we decided, because we kept getting survey responses from people. I always, whenever I create a new thing, I send out a survey and go, what did you think of the new thing? And we got so many survey responses saying, I never wanted it to end. And we're like, oh, well, we're just idiots if we don't have something to do after Getting Gear for the New Year. So we created Getting Gear for the Next Tier, which is the logical extension. But yes, we are working on the brand expansion that takes this far beyond actors and showbiz. But we are in the midst of the 2.0 right now. And then we'll do 3.0 at some point. Not sure when. This is part of why we close enrollment on Monday. So if you're interested, I encourage you to go to bonniegillespie.com/now. Check it out. If you want to see some testimonials, go to bonniegillespie.com/praise. There are some beautiful, wonderful, high-achieving, amazing people who have been so kind as to say some really brilliant things about their experiences in this program and in our work together. And we just created a whole page of it. So if you're the type who's like, yes, I want to see all the testimonials, this is a good chunk of them. It's a lot. I had to stop myself because I was like, I can't, it's too much. But we've had hundreds of people go through the dojo and spend these 100 days with us and more, and have said, usually within the first handful of days, my life has changed. I am showing up for myself differently than I ever have. I am getting out of a bad relationship. I am going to make a game plan for being out of my agency contract because this is not a hell yes. And I know I deserve better. I am going to be attempting a sober experiment for a month. Let's see how that feels. We have people who have reached back to us and said, this has allowed me to lean into a part of my creative life that I thought would betray my acting life if I did it. And my acting life has gotten so much fuller because I started showing up to write more. And all this time I thought writing was a distraction from acting, but it was a way to feed my soul in a way that allowed my auditions to feel freer. And now I have the success in both areas that I couldn't have in either when I was only pursuing acting, and pursuing it from such a place of low enoughness. This happens very early in the course, which is why, I mean, technically, it's all about enoughness. And I can just tell you right now, the work is knowing that you are already enough. You show up here already enough. Great. Fabulous, Yoli. I am so glad you have already decided on your first track because of this conversation. That makes me very happy. There are quite a few folks here who are a part of Getting Gear for the Next Tier already. So if you already have your username and password, go over to the Get Ready, Start Strong page. That's your user dashboard, and select your track. Because we definitely want to make sure that we got you in the right place for the overlay that we're going to have. But everybody, just so you know, because people are like, ooh, tracks, hang on. Everybody experiences the same 100 days. And yes, you're going to fall behind. yes, you're going to play catch up and binge watch. There are some days that are 5 minutes to get through, and then there are some days that are 2 hours to get through. And then there are some days, like you saw Kelly say, I feel triggered. There's some days that are like this, where you go, technically I could get the work done in 10 minutes, but because I'm triggered, I'm going to give it a couple of days. And that's totally fine. The work is designed so that as each day opens, you retain access to it after it's opened that first time. Oh, you're welcome, Keisha. It's absolutely my pleasure. Oh, I'm so glad to know that. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel so good to know that these conversations that we are having, even as a part of this free training, are giving you aha moments and some tools that you can take away. And if you feel like you're ready to do deeper work with us and you want my guidance, you can come on in and do these 100 days. But back to that, the tracks thing, because I want to make sure, because there were some questions that people sent in about this. Oh shoot, there was one more question that, oh no, now that I'm forgetting that I said I promised I would answer, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh shoot. I'm gonna have to check, because I know there was an email that I received that I said I am going to promise to answer that question. And I believe it might have been Heather. And so now I'm gonna just check. I'm gonna check. Yep. It was Heather. Okay, awesome. Identified producers and, okay, so yes, okay, I found it. The tracks are an overlay to the 100. So you will definitely have the same 100 days as everybody else. You will go about them at your own pace. We're going to have check-in Zooms every 10 days, starting with this January 1st round. So on January 10th, we will do the first 10-day check-in. On the 20th of January, we will do the second one, and so on. We do this until we reach day 100 on April 9th of 2020. So you can go ahead and plot that out on your schedule now. And what we do as a part of those interactive Zooms is we actually dig in on, where are the sticking points? Where are you bumping up against things? Where are you hitting a moment in the coursework that is really challenging you, that kind of goes against everything that you might have been doing so far, or that has you questioning what your agent wants you to do? And then we really break down, is this your hell yes rep? Because you and your agent may have very different goals if it's not a hell yes rep. And so we can actually have those conversations as a part of these live calls. Now, obviously, this isn't a substitute for private coaching, because they are group sessions, but having that support every 10 days as a part of the program is a fantastic way to get back on track if you have fallen behind. The tracks are an overlay that will open on, I believe, day 16 is the first one, and then every 15 days from there on till the end of the course, for the end of the 100 days. So I believe you get 6 in the overlay. We're still building it right now. So this is something that I am getting to figure out, and you're watching me kind of go through, like, did we set it that way? Did we not? Because we're having meetings like every minute that I'm not doing something like this. We are building all the things that are new and updated in the dojo. And so one of the things that we do with that track thing is, if you've chosen Money Honey, you will start getting an overlay of material about deeper dives on issues of money. There are still money days in the 100, so you're going to get it either way. You're just going to get more of it if you have chosen Money Honey as a track. If you chose Woo Woo Crew, you're going to get more of it, but there's already some woven into the program. If you chose #relationship goals, relationships is very much a pillar of the program, but you're going to get more specific relationship work if you chose that as a pillar. We also have the intuitive body, which is a part about self-care and really tuning into what your body is telling you and getting clear on where your energy ends and somebody else's begins, so that you have better boundaries. And then the 5th and final track is for writer/content creator, which is, of course, an overlay to something that is already built into the program. So the way we have it worked here is, you get an overlay during your first run of the 100 days, and don't have FOMO about picking the wrong one, because you're going to have a wonderful experience with all 5 areas, no matter what you picked for your overlay. And then on day 101, you get access to the Self-Management for Actors Vault, which is a treasure trove of a whole bunch of things that I've created that I've only ever been able to share in this format. And you can also open the tracks that you didn't choose. And we're still working out the logistics on how that works. but you will get to experience all the tracks that you didn't experience during your first 100 days as you continue your ongoing membership. So something to keep in mind. So questions that were emailed to me ahead of time that I want to make sure I get. Meanwhile, y'all put questions that you have in your in the chat here, because we're going to wrap up here in about 10-12 minutes, because I really want to respect that 90-minute states of flow. I am big into flow theory, and 90 minutes is like the cutoff for the brain to like take in new information. And once we get past that and go, no, I'm pulling an all-nighter because I can continue to learn and soak it up, you really start to have diminishing returns after 90 minutes. So I always respect that 90-minute cutoff. So questions, pop them in the chat. We're going to wrap things up here. Let's see. Heather had said, identified producers and directors who are excited about the types of stories I'm excited to make, written films that I want to create. What's the best way to make sure they see my films when they don't engage with me on social media and don't have publicly accessible contact info? Right. So your research on your targets shows you social media is not a way in. Good news, during that free 5-day training that we just did for Getting Geared for the New Year, one of the bonuses as a part of that was a PDF workbook on 5 different types of networking, which means you just eliminated social media as one of the types of networking. There's 4 more ways to network with these human beings that are not those. So your work is to research what these buyers use as their primary ways of networking and use one of those. Yes, the latest edition of Self-Management for Actors is the 4th edition, right here. 4th edition, 5th printing. So the 4th edition, 5th printing, right here. Grab it, get a screen grab of this so you know that you're getting the right one. If you get any of the covers that look differently than this, you're getting one that was written like before YouTube gave out Emmys to people like me, and before there were, unions merged. It was a SAG and an AFTRA. And when there were still video cassettes, like I believe in earlier editions, I talk about how you have to pick up the copies of your demo reel that you took over to your agent's office in VHS cassette, because they need you to pick those up after they've sent out the ones that they needed to casting. Yeah, so the book's been around a long time, but this one, no, is ahead of all of that. All right, and then the second one was finding non-industry events to network feels kind of like relying on chance encounters for targeted buyers who don't publicize what they do for fun. Oh, no, they do. Once you do enough targeting of your key buyers, those people who most need to know you exist, you are able to find out what they do for fun, what they're into, where they go, where they see plays. This is my favorite one. Here's a tip for everybody. If you've got a buyer that you are curious, like, what do they do? Where do they go? They love talking about plays that they've seen if they are theater junkies. How many times do you see someone with a playbill up against a dark stage, light, house lights are still up, but the stage has not yet gone. So here we are, and then here's the playbill, and they're like, I'm about to see this play. That is intel. That is information for your show Bible. That is information about your buyer. And you want to know a quick way to get in front of a buyer who goes to see plays at that theater? Go get in a play at that theater. And if you're like, yeah, but I'm not a play person, go see plays. Go usher at that theater. Like, there are ways to make sure that you intersect with your buyers. We teach all of that in the program. Other questions that y'all have before we wrap up? And I'm glad I remembered Heather's questions, because I had told her that I would definitely get to them in her in this free webinar. Let's see. Oh, Amara has said, I'm saying Amara and then Amara. I'm going to say Amara. Let's go with Amara. Branding feels difficult to me because the way I look is diametrically opposed to the way our industry tells me people like me are. Amara, do more data gathering, because I am willing to bet that there is one type of buyer that has that opinion, and you're focusing on those rather than looking for the buyers that have a very different worldview. Okay? So by which I mean, I call myself a fat, black, queer woman, and most of those things don't correlate with leading lady. Who says? Who says? This, okay, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? The very last panel, leading the new Hollywood. This is a perfect thing to end on, y'all, especially because I'm also getting my sun flare. Fabulous. My lighting director is the sun. Your work as a leader of this industry is to understand that you can look around for patterns of how things are done. You can track the data and take a look at how it works for everybody else. Two things. One, unless someone has the IMDb of your dreams, they don't know what the recipe is for how it's going to work for you. Let me say that differently, but I want you to write this down. Unless they have the IMDb of your dreams, they cannot possibly tell you the recipe for how you are going to have the IMDb of your dreams. They can tell you what worked for them. This is why we gather massive amounts of data. And at some point, even gathering massive amounts of data, we're creating our own road, because look at what we've chosen to do for a living. There are so few people who actually make a living as artists. It is a rebellion of the way people adult to choose what we've chosen. So we're already leaders, and something we teach very early in Getting Gear for the Next Year is about how you need to embrace your leadership and find role models who lead like you want to lead and who lead like you already lead. And we also teach you how to find ways that you've already been leading and probably not giving yourself enough credit for. Because unless you're ready to step into your role as a leader of the new Hollywood, you're only ever going to get so far. You're only ever going to get to do that stereotypical role that has to be not the leading lady, because you're buying what everybody has sold that's only ever worked at the co-star level. But the day that you go, co-star's not enough for me, you're building your own road, and we teach you how to do that. But you have to have the enoughness to know when you're hearing everybody else say, well, that's never been done. That's never been done. That can't happen. It doesn't work like that. First of all, if there were a book on this is the 100% of the time always correct advice for how to rule Hollywood guide, I would have written that book, and I would actually be doing today's webinar from my private island, because every actor on the planet would decide I have to have this, and it would work so well that everybody would be famous. And then what would be the point? I wouldn't even have to do this. There is no one recipe. That's why it's self-management for actors. That first word right there is because it's different for everyone. Every single person has their own road at some point, and that means leadership. And boy, is that a challenge. That moment when you go, I have enough data to know that I can eliminate all of these possibilities, but this now is going to have to be something where I go with my gut. But I have high enough enoughness to know that going with my gut is going to work for these buyers, because I have done the research and my tools are on point, and I'm ready to show them that this is what this looks like. This is what leading the new Hollywood looks like. And you also have high enoughness enough that if it doesn't work the way you planned, you're still going to be okay. You're still going to be okay. Isn't that beautiful? But you're a leader, and embracing that is part of the training that we do. Good, good. Fabulous. Yes, because if you don't embrace that you're a leader, and that's why these one-size-fits-all templates don't work for you, you're going to frustrate yourself. You're going to be so frustrated with trying to do the thing that works for everybody else. How's it working for them? How's it working for them? People who are like lining up to eat at McDonald's because that's what works for them. It takes being a leader to go, no, I'm going to be a vegan, or no, I'm going to eat Whole30. It takes being a leader to say, I'm not going to do the easy thing. I'm going to do the right thing for me, and I'm going to show you that it works for me and keeps me happy. Because if I'm turned on by this life that I've chosen, I've won. I've won. That's the work. That's the work. Yes, we are engaging in a revolution. The old Hollywood is dying, and dying fast. So it is a perfect time to be the leader that you know you are, but you've got to be willing to embrace that. And if you've got shit in your head that's telling you, I'm not enough, I can't do it, who am I? I'm underconfident, I don't have this checked off, that checked off, this checked off, that checked off, come join me in the dojo and let me support you to cleaning out that head garbage so that you can embrace the career that you know that you were put on this earth to have. And if now is not the time to work together, don't worry, I'm not going away. We're just closing enrollment so that I can focus fully on the dojo. I will still be in your inbox every Tuesday with a bond blast. But if you want to get in on this while we are still enrolling, please go to bonniegillespie.com/now. Yes, we have a payment plan for lifetime. We also have the option, if you're like, I don't want to go lifetime, great. You can come in at the same cost that it has been for everyone who's enrolled earlier this year and just then pay $30 a month ongoing. So we have options for you. No worries. Fabulous. Yes, Mel, there will be a replay that I will send out. I will also make sure that I include a link to your SMFA business plan, and thank you for requesting it. I'll make sure that the tier structure is in there as well. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's the holidays and so much hectic stuff with the new year. I think I'm going to do one more live stream before the year ends. So I'll probably be broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter through Periscope. It doesn't yet push to Instagram, but that's coming in the new year. So maybe you'll join me for that. So please make sure that you check your inbox and all your alerts in all the places so that you can continue to jam with me as we set some goals for the new year. You beautiful people, thank you. I so appreciate seeing y'all here. You are phenomenal human beings. Yes, the content is the same whether you choose life or status or go month to month. The content is exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the length of your access. So for those of you who are like, yep, this is my gym, I'm in it, then come on in life or status. And if you're like, nope, I'm non-committal, I want to go month to month, great, we have that option for you as well. Beautiful people, thank you. I so appreciate your feedback and I love you all so much. And please take a moment to connect with that true north. Every time you doubt yourself, just go within and remind yourself you have important stories to tell. And you got to get out of your own way sometimes to get to tell them. Love you, beautiful people. Stay ninja. Bye. Thanks, everybody.